This segment is brought to you by Cypress Stop, home of the happy customer.
Hello and welcome back to this edition of Bayou Time. Again, your host, Keith Weissite, licensed clinical social worker with Terrebonne Home Care. Very glad you're joining us. However you may be joining us, we appreciate it. And whenever we want updates from Assumption Parish, we turn our attention to Commander Lonnie Cavalier. Commander, thanks for joining us today.
Hey, Keith, thanks for having us. Appreciate you.
I appreciate it. I know we got lots of updates. Let's start with this sad case that you guys got called out to.
Yes, on yesterday morning, which would have been Tuesday, we were summoned at approximately 8:03 a.m. to a location in Pierre Park. And upon investigation, we determined that a 3-year-old young male victim had got into a pool and drowned. Detectives are presently conducting an investigation to determine how exactly did this happen. But it seems preliminarily that the child just basically got out of his home, walked over to a neighbor's pool, and got into it.
And again, summertime, it brings up these causes, these situations like this. We want people to be very safe. But we know that you guys are going to take great care of that family. So thank you for all that y'all do down there, even in these very difficult situations with the drowning of a young male child. Let's move our attention to Jesse Ponville Jr.
Yes, Jesse J. Ponville Jr., 52 of 2922 Highway 7 in Pierre Park, was arrested on felony charges arising from a disturbance at a residence in a 2600 block of LA 7 in Pierre Park. Deputies responded to the location and made contact with the complainant, who advised that on this evening, an individual now identified as Jesse J. Ponville Jr. had come to the residence and forcefully entered the dwelling without authorization in order to discuss the circumstances surrounding an earlier incident. In entering the residence, Jesse J. Ponville Jr. allegedly damaged an entry door. Deputies interviewed Jesse J. Ponville Jr. and following that interview, did arrest Ponville. Deputies transported Ponville to the Assumption Parish Detention Center, where he was booked on charges of unauthorized entry of an inhabited dwelling and simple criminal damage to property. Jesse J. Ponville Jr. posted a $20,000 bond.
And now we have an ICE arrest, it seems, of Julie Brooke Noble and Mr. Lawrence.
Yes, Julie Brooke Noble, 33 of 5534 Highway 308, Napoleonville, and William Dwayne Lawrence, 49 of 210 Freetown Lane, Belrose, were arrested on felony charges arising from an investigative stop by our ICE unit on Highway 70 East. A uniformed patrol deputy assigned to the ICE detail observed a vehicle driving out of the parking lot of a local business after hours and initiated a stop of that vehicle. The deputy made contact with the driver, now identified as Julie Brock Noble. The deputy conducted the interview of the driver. The deputy then made contact with the passenger, now identified as William Dwayne Lawrence, and initiated an officer violator interview with him. Following these interviews, the deputy believed additional investigation was warranted. The deputy requested and was granted consent to search the vehicle. As a result of that search, deputies seized quantities of cocaine, a sedative, muscle relaxer, and assorted drug paraphernalia. Julie Brock Noble was arrested and booked into the Assumption Parish Detention Center on charges of possession of cocaine, sale, distribution, or possession of alleged drug without an order or prescription, possession of drug paraphernalia, driving under a suspended driver's license, and criminal trespass. William Dwayne Lawrence was arrested and booked into the Assumption Parish Detention Center on charges of possession of crack cocaine, sale, possession, or distribution of a alleged drug without an order or prescription, possession of drug paraphernalia, and a warrant for theft, as well as a detainer from the Louisiana Department of Corrections for a probation and parole violation. Both Julie Brock Noble and William Dwayne Lawrence remain incarcerated. Julie Brock Noble posted a $35,000 bond today, and William Dwayne Lawrence remains incarcerated and ordered held without bond on the probation parole violation, and bond on the remainder of his charges was set at $35,000.
Very good. Thank you for the update for that as well. And now let's talk about this public intimidation with threats on Mr. Brulette Jr.
John Richard Brulette Jr., 43 of 1152 Highway 402, Napoleonville, was arrested following a disturbance complaint at the aforementioned address on Sunday morning. Deputies responded to the call for service, making contact with the complainant, who advised that John Richard Brulette Jr. was causing a disturbance. The complainant further advised The situation began on Saturday, which resulted in Bruyette being treated at a medical facility for an undisclosed condition. Deputies made contact with John Richard Bruyette Jr. at the residence, at which time he was asleep. The deputy noted that Bruyette appeared to be under some type of intoxicant. John Richard Bruyette Jr. was arrested and booked into the Assumption Parish Detention Center on charges of disturbing the peace and public intimidation, which was a warrant that was filed in connection with the incident on June 21st. He is also being held on a probation parole detainer. John Richard Bruyette was ordered held without bond on a probation parole detainer, and bond on the remaining charges was set at $25,000.
And so, Commander, I guess as we close the show, it's always a good reminder to parents to always be very watchful of your children, especially during the summertime, and just kind of making sure we always know where they are, because sometimes kids can get into places that we don't think that they can.
Yes, we know the dangers of pools, and it comes basically with the territory. But we ask all people to make sure your facility is secure, make sure your home is secure, because in this particular incident, unfortunately, we believe that the young victim made his way from his home into the neighbor's pool. Right. So yes, these things happen, and all we can do is hope to make things better and that it doesn't happen again.
I agree. Commander, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate all the updates. Look forward to talking soon.
Thanks for having us, Keith.
Yes, sir. All right, guys, that'll do it for this particular segment and this Bayou Time, but don't go anywhere. I got a whole lot more right here on HTV.
This segment was brought to you by Cypress Stop, home of the happy customer.